All right, good afternoon, Coach. Thanks for doing this. At 44, you're not quite old enough to frighten small children, but you're getting there. Let's start with happy birthday greetings. Did you get the early present last night, perhaps, in the form of a victory?
Yeah, thanks, Gord. First off, yeah, no, you know what? It's great to go out on that note and get rewarded, not just for last night's effort, but for the effort that these guys have put in, over the last 8-9 weeks. Barely took a period off, a game off here and there, but they really worked hard right to the end. And we know that Toronto's not playing at full speed, getting ready for the playoffs. But in saying that, we didn't let up one time.
Are you able to, is there anything tangible that you can put your finger on as far as what you saw your team do to switch things around going from the first half to the second half?
Well, number one thing's goaltending. Our goaltending was really good the second half. And I think our dressing room, I honestly, I don't think there's enough said for what a good locker room can bring on the ice. And the combination of young players growing together, holding each other accountable. I would say, very few teams you're going to see miss the playoffs that come to the rink and have as much fun as these guys do. We stick up for each other. They joke with each other. And to me, anywhere that I've been around that's had success, and it's been outside the NHL, with the Memorial Cups, everything, comes from a good room. And I think we're there right now. Obviously, we got lots to prove on the ice, but we're there right now where we're starting to hold each other accountable, and it's just a great feeling to be a part of it.
Exit meetings are all different for each and every player, but was there a common theme or a common message that you were able to pass on to the players during the meetings?
Well, I think we all know that we have to continue to get better as a team. And my job as a coach is to get the best out of each individual. And if I can realize their potential, the wins and the success will come naturally. So the biggest thing is just to give them individual things that are going to continue to make them better as players. And then inside of our structure, we'll have success. So a lot of them did a lot of really good things. The common theme at this stage is continue to get stronger. We're a young team. And the stronger we get, the bigger we get, the better we'll be.
Bruce Garriock, Post Media.
Happy birthday. It's hard to believe that Gord's 16 years older than you, and you two look the same age, but...
It is hard to believe, actually. Grandpa Gord, thanks.
One of the things that's been talked about a lot here today, DJ, is the leadership in that room. And do you think as a group and that you guys need to sit down and decide if maybe it is time to name a captain?
Yeah, that's something that obviously myself, Pierre, and Mr. Melnick will speak about at length this summer. If it's the time, we have a lot of guys in that room that have really stepped up leadership-wise. The obvious ones everyone knows, but it's a group of guys that make teams win, not just one guy. But obviously one guy will be named at some point, and like I said, that'll be Mr. Melnick and Pierre, and myself at some point will consult.
But if it's working, is it okay to continue to go without?
It's a tough question. Yeah, but at some point, you got to make decisions, and you got to make hard decisions. It's easy to continue to sit in the middle. And the reason there was no captain is, we're so young, and you don't want to put a young guy through that stress of having to answer the questions every day when you're losing. And I think that's why Pierre did a good job. A couple of years of Ron Hainsey, bringing him in, and then this year some older guys in, they ended up getting hurt, and they could field those questions. But I think now our leadership group's at the point where they're almost ready for that. And that'll be a big part in deciding what we do probably.
And last thing for me, DJ, just how much, and I feel like I've been asking this for a while, but how much maturity have you seen in this group over the course of the season?
It's actually a tale of two seasons, and just young and fragile to confident kids walking around here at the end. And we know next year it's a brand new animal, and we got to be ready when the season starts, because we're not going to sneak up on anyone as much anymore. one thing is when you're, at the bottom, teams tend to take you lightly. They're not gonna take us lightly anymore. So we've got to up our game another gear.
Kyle Bukoskis, Sportsnet.
I guess just further to that, DJ, I mean, what ultimately do you think will separate moving forward this team, going from a great finish this year to being one that could legitimately contend for a playoff spot next season?
Well, if you look at the teams that make the playoffs, goals against has to come way down. And we've set a goal for ourselves internally, heading into the Calgary series. I think it was back in maybe late March, early April. And we wanted to keep the goals against at a 2.8 or lower rate. That's what gets you in the playoffs. And I didn't tally up the last two games, but I believe we're right there or we made it. And the wins correlated with it. So if you keep the puck out of your net, you have a chance to go to the next gear. And we think we've got some guys that could score here. But as much as you score, if you don't keep it out, you're going to lose. So it's got to be a big focus for us going forward.
Wayne Scanlon, Sportsnet.
Yeah, DJ, you talked about having the culture and the attitude that's already there in the room, the young leadership. What do you think needs to be done in terms of additions in the off season, if anything? I know that's a GM question, but you're the head coach and you're going to have some input as well.
Yeah, we'll leave that to Pierre. That's his job. I think one thing here is Pierre lets me do my job and supports me as much as possible, and I let Pierre do his. And now, obviously, he's going to consult with me to get my opinion. But his job is to build the team, and my job is to coach it. So I'll leave that to him.
The final one will be from Mark Broussard at Loudois.
Yeah, DJ, happy birthday. The business of hockey takes over in the summer. How interested are you in seeing some of the young core guys on the team maybe commit long term to what you're trying to build here?
Yeah, for sure. Selfishly as a coach, you want all your players to be here forever with you, the good ones, and just keep cycling through, younger guys as you go. So, those are things that happen in sport. Pierre will deal with it this summer, the contracts. But we all know how important those guys are to our team. And that's the hard part. When you got a bunch of really young, good players, fitting them under the cap, doing all those things. Those are things. That's why Pierre's hired and his staff to get that done. My job's to coach them again.
And the other thing, have you had any talks at all with Pierre about your own situations? And I think you're heading into the last year of your contract with the coach.
Yeah, no, you know what? We'll talk this summer. My goal is a day-to-day basis to make this team better. And I think much like when I say about if the players continue to get better and I make them better or help them get better, the results will take care of itself. And I think the same holds true for me. If I just keep doing my job, ultimately you'll be allowed to continue to be a head coach in this league.